Hey Waffle Gang, I do hope you're well. My name is Mark and today we're checking out some more relationship stories, and if you do love a Reddit story, why not consider hitting a like, subscribe, maybe that notification bell too, and let's crack on with today's first story, which comes from a throwaway account. And before we do get into the story, I do want to give you a warning that it does contain abuse and child neglect as well. So if you do want to skip the story, please feel free to do so. Timestamps are always down in the description and along the timeline below. Thank you very much indeed. And it's titled, My 24 female husband, 31 male, asked for a paternity test. It came back positive, but our relationship was never the same. My 24 female husband, 31 male, and I have 3 children. Our sons looked exactly like him, dark skin and dark eyes and hair, but our daughter doesn't. She looks exactly like my great-grandparents, really pale, blonde and green-eyed. But apparently, he didn't think it was possible that our daughter could look like my great-grandparents, and from the moment he saw her, he told me he wanted a paternity test. At first I refused because I felt it was humiliating and because I didn't think it was necessary because I never cheated on him, and I hoped he would trust me, but he didn't. And for the first 2 months of our daughter's life, he made my life hell. He didn't want to hold her, even if she cried desperately while I was doing something else. He never woke up at night to help me with her. He never helped me with anything, and that hurt me so much because with our boys, he was completely different. He helped me all the time with absolutely everything, and he was always there for me after giving birth. But this time he left me alone, and it was the worst experience of my life. I have no family here, and his entire family from the moment they saw my daughter turned their backs on me. I don't have any friends here either, so it was just my daughter and me. She is a colicky baby, so it was very difficult for me to do everything alone. On top of that, help with our sons. I decided to do the paternity test because one day his entire family came to our house to celebrate my son's birthday, and no one spoke to me. They didn't want to include my daughter in the photos that my in-laws took of all the grandchildren. So I know it was stupid to keep waiting for them to come to their senses. Well, the paternity test came back positive, and everyone was shocked. And of course they felt guilty for not having believed in me. Everyone apologized, and my husband even cried when he held our daughter in his arms for the first time. And I know that his apologies were genuine, and that's why I forgave him, but I don't know if I can forgive his family. They treated me really badly and said horrible things about me just a few days after giving birth, and I can't forget their insults or violence. My husband knows that I don't want to see his family, nor do I want them near any of our children, and he told his family. So these last 3 months it has been just the 5 of us, but it doesn't feel as good as I expected. My husband is constantly apologizing and crying every time he holds our daughter, and I am getting tired of this situation. I want us to be happy as we were before, so how can we move on? My husband suggested we should start couples therapy. How much can therapy help? OP added some relevant comments as well. So someone asked OP, what exactly happened with the violence? Why haven't you taken your children back to your family? OP says, his sister pulled my hair during a fight. A one-sided fight, by the way, because I never responded to her insults, and his mother also did it on another occasion. I'm planning to go visit my family in a few months. Someone says, and your husband allowed that violence to continue. OP says, I told him what they did and they had a fight about it. He was never violent with me. He got angry because he didn't know what they did, and when I told him, they ended up in a fight because he didn't like that they intervened in our relationship, nor that they were violent with me. Someone says, how old were you when you got together? And OP says, I was 18. Someone says to OP, has he ever mistrusted you for no reason or refused to listen to you before? Is it a common occurrence? And OP says, no, this was the first time. Someone says, how old were you when you had your first? And OP says 19. Someone says, don't return when you go visit your family. OP says, I wish I could do that. That would cause me legal problems because my children were not born in my home country. If I don't bring them back to their country, I could have problems. Someone says, did anything happen in your past or his that would give him doubts? OP says yes. When I met him, I was seeing someone else, but it wasn't something serious or exclusive, and I stopped seeing that person to start dating my husband, and he thinks that's considered cheating. Also, he started getting paranoid in the last few months because I started to be good friends with a co-worker, and he has green eyes like my daughter, and for some reason my husband thought that I cheated on him with that man. Someone says, did he tell you he was uncomfortable with a co-worker? And OP says yes. He told me that he didn't like us being friends because he was sure that my coworker liked me. And I told him that he was overreacting and being extremely jealous. And I refused to stop being friends with that man, and I know that helped him think I cheated on him, and I know it was my fault. Whenever we have stories like this one, I always think, is there a way to come back from that? He's basically accusing you of infidelity with no evidence, basically. And I think, will therapy solve that? And I'm sure some couples have absolutely gone down that path and got through it. But I always think that's always going to be on your mind, that he accused you of infidelity like that. And then with all the rest of the red flags in this one, the way he treated your daughter, the family's abusing you, and the whole, being separated from your family at 19 years old, getting pregnant at a young age, moving away from your family, and then the family abusing you. There's just red flags all over this post for me. But Schrodinger's cat says, excuse me, insults or violence? Insults are bad enough, but what the fuck? There is no going back. OK Point says just the way he treated your daughter would be hard to get over, even if he thought she wasn't his. That wouldn't have been her fault. Cruelty to a child is pretty inexcusable. How old were you when you got together? Asking because you must have started very young to have 3 kids by 24. Given his maturity level, I guess it would make sense that he went for someone much younger. Which we found out Opie replied that they was 18, and Dramatic Humor replied to that saying, so you have no idea what a healthy relationship looks like, because this ain't it. Your husband's family isn't the problem. Your husband is the problem, and he's a big one. I can't imagine staying with any partner who would not only show so little faith in me, but also so willingly emotionally abuse me and encourage his family to hurt me. Get therapy for yourself individually. You need to recognize what the real issue is here, and why you'd put up with this kind of treatment from someone who is supposed to love you. Because it's not love. One more comment from Adorable Time, who says, I would have stapled the paternity test and divorce papers together. I'm so sorry this happened to you, but I'd not forgive any of them. If anything, your husband is the worst of the bunch. He's your husband and dropped the ball massively. Not only that, but he then gave his family that ball to throw at you and your daughter. It's a no from me. So OP does update the post and says, I think before the update I should clarify a few things to put you in context. I know I should have said it in my original post, but I didn't, and that made many people believe so many things that are not true. Before I got pregnant, I met a man. I think he's in his early 50s at work, and you could say he's a little too friendly. For example, he liked to buy me and another female co-worker, she's in her late 50s, coffee every morning. But once in a while, he used to leave a flower on our desk and things like that. That never seemed strange to me because he never tried anything with any of us. He was always just friendly. He was always talking about his wife, children, and grandchildren and giving us parenting advice. Well, my husband, he didn't like that I was friends with this man because he said that he was sure that this man liked me because I'm young and that he would soon try something with me. And when he told me that, I told him I wouldn't stop being friends with him because he was always respectful and I didn't see anything wrong with being friends with a man. And I'm not gonna lie, he got really angry, but after a few days, he forgot about it. But all those doubts resurfaced when our daughter was born because she had a lot of platinum blonde hair, which none of our children, 5 male and 4 male, had. And my husband thought she would look like her brothers, but no, she looked completely different from him and me, and that made him doubt. My co-worker is not blonde, but he has the same eye color as our daughter, and he's very pale just like her. So my husband asked me for a paternity test, and I refused because it was humiliating, and because I thought that at least he would educate himself about basic biology, but he didn't. And when I say this, I mean that my great-grandparents look exactly like my daughter. Same color hair, eyes, and skin. And he always knew that, but decided to ignore it to believe that I was cheating on him. I know that I helped the situation escalate and end badly because I should have accepted a paternity test. And I say that because here it is not easy to do a paternity test without authorization from both parents. And regarding his sister and mother, they never liked me, and for a while we even stopped having contact with his family because I didn't like the way they treated me. But when our son was born, I felt alone because it was just my husband, his friends, our son, and I wanted my children to grow up with a family. So we got back in touch with them, and in fact they treated me very well until my daughter was born. And when they pulled my hair, my husband wasn't present, and I didn't tell him until a few weeks later, and by then they had a big fight because of that. I swear that he was never violent, nor did he ever endorse anyone being violent with me. Well, the update is that I gave him an ultimatum and told him that I want to go live in my home country and be close to my family, and that if he didn't want that, then the only option would be getting divorced. When I told him that, I also told him that I'm talking to a lawyer to advise me on divorce and joint custody. And I guess that made him realize that I was being serious, because he said he'd be willing to do that to earn my forgiveness. Another thing I asked him is to cut off contact with his family forever, because I don't want our children to suffer what I suffered with them. And he agreed. At the moment, our plan is to travel for Christmas and stay there for a few weeks and move in the middle of next year. In the meantime, we will go to couples and individual therapy and hope to be able to solve our problems. So far, things are going well, and I hope they continue that way. Edit. I don't understand why there are so many people who have accused me of being a terrible wife and not supporting my husband when he told me to stop talking to my co-worker. I've supported him since we started dating. I moved to a different country as a teenager. I left behind my family, friends, and everything I ever knew. All for him. I didn't go to college until last year because he was doing his PhD. I had to stay at home with the kids full time, which is why I could never have a single friend here. Because since I arrived here, my only duty was to be a mother and housewife, and that consumed all my time. I got my first job when I was 23. It was only because the kids were old enough to go to kindergarten. So don't say I don't support him, because that's the only thing I've been doing since we started dating. This was the first time I had friends here, even though they were both over 50. And it felt good because there were days I felt so alone, and talking to them at work made me feel good. But for him, that was wrong, and when my daughter was born, I quit my job that I liked so much, just so that he would stop feeling insecure. I don't jump to the conclusions or say stupid things. So, of course, there was that comment where people were saying OP downplayed the co-worker stuff and just added some more clarity to it and said, well, maybe I did downplay his behavior, but it's my first job, and since he never behaved inappropriately, I thought it's something a lot of people do when they share an office with others. Also, all our co-workers speak highly of him. No one ever called him creepy or anything like that. I never gave flowers, but during the time I worked there and shared an office with this man and another woman, I used to bake cookies to share with them and things like that. I don't know if it's comparable, but what I mean is that at our office we used to exchange things, whether it was a coffee, a cookie, or a flower. Some people were suggesting that OP was going too far in cutting them off, which those comments were downvoted, by the way. And OP responds saying his family rejected my daughter since she was born. They pulled my hair during a one-sided fight when I was holding my daughter. They mistreated me when I was pregnant with my first child, so why should he keep in touch with people who don't respect his wife or his daughter? I do wonder what goes through some people's heads when they make comments like that. You know, we've seen in the story that OP's being physically abused, they're being mentally abused, their daughter's being mistreated by these people, and then they're jumping on the OP when OP's wanting to cut these people out of their life. But now I'm going to turn this one to you guys. What do you guys make of this situation? Let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Let's move on to another story. And our next story comes from two subreddits, from the Am I the Arsehole and Am I the Buttface, from a bunch of characters which it just take me too long to read out. But it's on the screen. It says, am I the arsehole for wanting to sleep in comfortable pajamas at my boyfriend's house? So last night was my 24 female first sleepover with my new boyfriend, 29 male, of 2 months. He bought me a gift of lingerie. It's beautiful but not comfortable. I think of this particular lingerie as the sort of thing you only wear for 5 minutes at the time when your partner takes it off. Lol. Which is essentially what happened. I wore the lingerie for him, he took it off, we were intimate, and it was lovely. But then the trouble started when we were ready to sleep. I went to put on the pajamas I packed, which is men's boxers. I bought it specifically for pajamas. It wasn't an X's or anything, and a t-shirt I got from the beach. The sort of thing I always wear to sleep, and I didn't think it should be any different with my boyfriend. But he asked why I didn't put the lingerie back on. Did I not like it? I said that I loved it, but it was a bit scratchy to actually sleep in. He said what the hell was my outfit? Why I was dressed like a man? I said I always sleep in stuff like this. Except when it's cold I wear footy pajamas. He said that's fine when I'm alone, but when I'm with him it makes him feel sick to his stomach to see me dressed like a man. So I caved and put the lingerie back on. I'm now lying awake because the lingerie is scratching my nethers. He's my first boyfriend I could actually sleep over with. I've been single since high school, so I admit I don't really know the etiquette. Am I the arsehole? Firstly, shirt in her boxers, look like a man. What the hell? Planet are we on right now? Absolutely not the arsehole. You sleep in what you want to sleep and you be comfortable when you're going to sleep. You know, that I gotta say, and I'm not meaning to make it like an overreaction or anything like that, but I find it really strange behavior that he's getting sick to his stomach about this. And you were pressured so much that you had to put it back on to go to sleep in. And I think very much like you said, that most of that stuff is designed to be removed pretty quickly. You know, I've read one too many stories that go down a similar path, just in different ways, basically. This is a 2-month-old relationship, so, you know, do with that what you will. But a deleted user says, not the arsehole, if he's against you sleeping in a shirt and boxers because of aesthetic, what the hell else would he control? Maybe he should sleep in the lingerie for one night and rethink his arsehole opinion. Sleepwear isn't meant to be sexy. OP replied to that saying, I wish he would just try the lingerie on to see what it feels like. But maybe that wouldn't be fair because he is male and has a different situation in that region than me. Oh, dear. I didn't want to picture that. But the lingerie digs into me really bad because it's a bodysuit type and I'm tall. They make these for average height women. And he said that the reason it doesn't fit is because I'm too fat for it. I probably should have included that in my first post maybe. It's a size large and I'm more of an XL, but I think my proportions would be that of an average size height, size L. I don't think I'm fat, I'm more curvy and chubby, and I thought that was his type because his ex-wife has a similar body type. Did I just read that right? And he said the reason it doesn't fit is because you're too fat for it. Absolute cheeky bastard. And this is a bodysuit as well. And he's wanting you to wear this all night. Get this clown back in the circus, but someone else says not the arsehole, he is controlling and manipulating you into doing what he wants because you feel bad. Take that shit off and put on comfy clothes. If his masculinity is that fragile, then you need to run from this boy child. OP says, lol, that is what I did. If he says a bad word to me about it tomorrow, I'm not going to sleep over again and considering breaking up. So, let's move on to see what this guy does in the update. OP says, a few people asked me to update them with my boyfriend's reaction when he wakes up. But since my post was deleted for Rule 8, I figured I should post an update over here, so this one doesn't get deleted too. After reading everyone's responses, I decided it's over between the two of us, whether he tries to apologize for the stunt he pulled or not. So a few hours after I posted, I woke up to the sound of my boyfriend quietly sobbing. I rolled over towards him and he's like, why can't you do this one thing for me? All I want is for my woman to look like a woman because I'm not gay. I told him that I'm done, and he started throwing a tantrum like a 2-year-old. I didn't even bother to listen to it. I gathered my stuff together before I went to sleep, so I just picked up my backpack and left. Went home, picked up a beer, pizza, and ice cream on the way. Put on some cartoons and was chilling all afternoon. Then my friend who works at Spencer's texted me. Apparently my ex had come in and tried to return the lingerie. Obviously they could only give him store credit because it was out of the box, and he started throwing yet another childish tantrum. Had to be escorted out of the store by a mall cop. Thanks to y'all, I dodged a bullet with this man baby. He obviously has some serious issues and I don't think I'm the right person to help him with them. I just really feel bad for his kids and his ex-wife who is stuck with him. So, someone replied to that and said, ew, he tried to return the used lingerie. Also, he bought it at Spencer's, like black light posters and novelty sex gifts Spencer's. Good for you for getting rid of that misogynistic man baby. So I've never heard of Spencer's. I'm guessing it's somewhere else. But I looked online. The website I couldn't seem to get work because it just come up with an image. But I found I found it on another social media platform, and it just looks like if it's the right place, of course, like a novelty gift store. It's just like, holy moly, this guy's trying to return this stuff. Oh, how can you be so clueless? I'm just rubbing my eyes right now thinking, what the fuck? Anyway, what do you guys make of this situation? Do you think OP made the right choice? Let us know your thoughts down in the comments below. And just a huge thank you from the bottom of my heart for getting involved with the stories. Your love, your support, your time always means the absolute world to me. So thank you so much. And hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Take care and much love.